חשוב לי הלינק לים. לינק שיהיה לי חלל שאני יכול לעבוד בו. אני בחרתי שכן לבוא ליפו, אבל זה לא היה בחירה ממקום היסטורי או מקום אידיאולוגי. יפו מקסימה, יש פה איזה מקום של קסם. אני גר ביפו מהמקום הזה של הקסם. מהמקום הזה שאנשים ביפו, אנשים שיוצרים ביפו, לא יוכלו להגדיר את זה בכלל ב-100%. מהמקום הזה אני בא. כאילו, זה נקודת האפס שלי, זה נקודת ההתחלה שלי. הקסם.
פעילות של האומנות בישראל, בעיקר בתל אביב. כך מאז הקמת תל אביב ב-1909. יפו קדמה לתל אביב. אבל יפו תפקדה מתחילת הדרך כניגוד משלים לתל אביב. בבחינת תל אביב היום, יפו היא הלילה. תל אביב היא במונחים פרוידיאניים, עקרון המציאות. יפו היא לא רק עקרון התענוג, אלא גם המאגיה, המיתוס, העומק ההיסטורי. תל אביב קמה על החולות, על הדיונות, אין לה שום עומק היסטורי. יפו התנ"כית, יפו שיפת בנה אותה, יפו של יונה הנביא, נתנה מרחב מחיה שענה למיתולוגיות של ירושלים, אוקיי? שזה תמיד צל גדול היה באומנות הארץ ישראלית. אוקיי. יפו לא במקרה סיפקה לאומנות הישראלית המוקדמת של שנות העשרה, העשרים, עד שנות ה-50, דימויים בנוסח סלע אנדרומדה המיתולוגי, כן? שבחוף הים של יפו, איזו זיקה למיתולוגיה היוונית, אנדרומדה הכפותה על ידי אביה לסלע, כן? עד שפרסאוס יציל אותה. יונה הנביא נפלט מפיו של, כן, של דג גדול, למרות שבמקור הדג פולט אותו על יד ננבה, אבל ציירים ציירו אותו כאילו הוא נפלט ביפו.
In 1982, my art dealer was renting this place. It was completely run down. And I came and I bought just this part, the view part. It's Turkish Jews who built it in 1740. That when they used to come from Turkey to pray in Jerusalem, they used to come with a boat, park the boat here, pray, wash, and get ready with donkeys and camel to go to Jerusalem. And as a private museum, I can do much more. It's a museum that belongs to the city, the country, because they cannot pay the attention I can. And it's open 16 years. Over 1.5 million people went through. It's a #1 tourist attraction in Jaffa, Tel Aviv.
My work is it's sort of a journal, and I think that in that way it of course relates to Yafo as being someone who lives in Yafo and is part of Yafo. I've been living here for 17 years and it's my neighborhood. I'm right next to the beach, which I love, and I'm part of that every day. I think it's also part of the inspiration in general of Yafo, of the romance, of the beauty. Everyone knows each other, and I think it's a very homey kind of feeling you get in Yafo. It's a very different feeling than living in a big city. It's much more intimate. My main subject is usually couples, relationships, and I think that's a metaphor to actually talking about much wider, bigger ideas that are happening around me, using a very basic and a emotional icon. מה קורה?
ואני רוצה עוד עבודות.
יאללה, יאללה, בוא נביא, קדימה. Actually here, this is a great example to see the layers. You see here, there's actually 5 different layers in this painting, where you actually have this whole pattern, a little bit like a blanket on the top layer, very colorful, very simplistic. And underneath, there's a whole another story happening.
Tel Aviv grew from Jaffa. And then it was united with Jaffa in 49. 90% of the tourists who come to Israel go through Tel Aviv.
Yeah.
100% of them go to Jaffa. Because Jaffa is even more, it has more of a name, of a site than Tel Aviv, because first of all it's attached, and second of all it has all the history. We're sitting in the Saraya house, which is the Ottoman ruler's house. That was built in 1897. 5 or 6 years ago, the place was the whole clock tower area and the Saraya. You see the big pillars outside. It's been restored. The development here is incredible. From infrastructure to renovating houses to new projects building.
I'm an Israeli gay painter. I live in Jaffa. I love very much this area and to paint the clock tower. For me, it's making idealization of life, to give hope. I mean, this is also the naive style. The meaning of naive style is to make the life happier. First, the lover in the center. The man and the woman are kissing, and here the painter that is in the center of the painting, that he paints the lover kissing near the clock. I put also a starry night. I call this starry night. It's after Van Gogh. I make another kind of stars. Also the building of famous building in Tel Aviv, Azrieli Center, Kol Bo Shalom, and more other famous building in Tel Aviv. I'm very optimistic. I mean, I enjoy so much to create, and I'm most of the time in love relationship, and I'm very happy guy. So I express it in the painting.
I live and work in Tel Aviv, Jaffa. I do contemporary art. I work with all of kind of discipline. I'm making sculptures, photos, paintings, video, etc. My point of view is being a male, being a man. In our society, are you full of power, or you are very vulnerable? I live in a world that I don't know exactly what's the function of a man, what he has to do. Because you are a father, I was in the army, you're a family man, you struggle for life, you struggle to survive economically. It's the knife of the compassion. It's very symbolic that all of my work is between violence and compassion. I think that most of us, our life is between violence and compassion.
שבהמוניהם, במסגרת מה שהיה קרוי בסוף המאה ה-19, הגרנד טור, בעקבות הכיבוש הנפוליוני, הגיעו ציירים לארץ ישראל. לצייר פה את העתיקות, לצייר פה את המקומות הקדושים ולצייר את החורבות. יפו הייתה מקום אידיאלי. צייר בשם ודר, צייר הולנדי, לא ידוע. אבל צייר אקדמי, ריאליסטן, בסדר גמור. מביט על יפו ממקום מאוד מאוד אהוב, שנחזור אליו הרבה, המפרץ של יפו דרך הדייגים, דייגי יפו, גמלים של יפו, יפו של האוריינט. גדול הציירים הציונים בתחילת המאה ה-20, ממש בהתחלה, אפרים משה ליליאן, צילם את יפו מאותו מקום, מאותו אזור, שאנחנו יודעים שהאזור זה האזור של כפר דייגים יפואי בשם מנשיה, היום זה שכונה נטושה, כן? עשה צילום של זה, חזר הביתה לברלין ועשה תחריט של זה, כן? זה תחריט של אותו מקום. שוב, הדגש הוא על יפו כאיזה נוף רומנטי רחוק בלתי מושג, ומקרוב הפיטורסקיות של הדייגים הערביים. מי שבלט מאוד בשנות ה-20 בתפיסתו את יפו כמקום מגי, אגדי, קסום וליבידי, יצרי היה נחום גוטמן. בית הזונות שהוא מצייר על חוף יפו, כבר הופך את יפו למקום של פיתוי. הוא עצמו שמר על בית הזונות כחייל בשירות הבריטים ב-1919 בערך. יפו אחרת לגמרי תעלה ב-48. כי זאת תהיה יפו של הכיבוש. זה יפו של מלחמת, מה שאנחנו קוראים מלחמת השחרור, הערבים קוראים הנכבה וכולי, הגירוש, הפינוי, הבריחה, יש פה נרטיבים שונים של הסיפור הזה. יפו זאת צוירה לא הרבה, אבל היא צוירה כמקום של הריסות. ב-48, 50, זה ציור של יעקב אייזנשר, צייר תל אביבי שלימד פה בירושלים, צייר את הקרב על יפו. מרסל ינקו, צייר מאוד חשוב, דדאיסט לשעבר, מאבות ההפשטה הישראלית, צייר סביב 1950 את הריסות יפו. יפו הייתה מקום הרוס.
From 48, immediately after the independence war, my father found a house till my marriage in 1970. That was my home. Then I left Jaffa and I lived in Tel Aviv and abroad. And when I finished my art study at 2006, I found this studio in Jaffa. And I couldn't, of course, work in my studio without going to visit where I used to live and to see it. And to visit my school and the streets and the neighborhood. I think everybody is busy with his history. And this is my way to deal with it. Downstairs, this door, it was a green door all the years. And the window is still the same. But I know that the other artists, they are looking for other things. They don't have my memories, and Jaffa is changing a lot. The situation now is really different because people first understand the beauty of architecture in Jaffa, of houses, and they liked it, and the flea market and the sea. People love it. So they try to find places in Jaffa to live in or to go around. And it's good for the art.
אבל בגדול אני מחפש צילום או משהו שיכול להצטלם מעניין או טוב או משהו שיעשה לי את זה. בגדול השוק הוא כמו מגרש משחקים. ואתה לא יכול לדעת שאתה מגיע מה יקרה, אם יקרה. יש המון פעמים שאתה בא וזהו, אתה הולך הביתה גם בלי כלום. זה רוב המקרים. יכול להגיד לך, לפעמים זה מאוד מתסכל, אבל הפעמים שאתה מוצא את הדברים שאתה מחפש, אז... ואחרי זה גם זה נכנס ליצירה שלך, לעשייה שלך, גם באומנות, אותו דבר. על לחפש, על למצוא, על להתאכזב, לא למצוא. אני חושב שזה משהו שהוא בילט-אין גם בעשייה, ביצירתיות. קצת משהו שהוא מדליק אותך, שהוא עושה לך את זה, שהוא מעניין. אז התיווך שלי, איפה שאני נכנס באמצע, הוא גם מבוסס על הרבה חשיבה, על להסתכל, מבט שני, שלישי, לחיות עם זה, לקחת את זה. אז גם פה אין איזה מהלך שהוא קבוע. תלוי מה אתה מוצא, תלוי בחומר, תלוי מה יש לך. ולרוב זה נשאר as is, ה-ready-made הוא משהו שהוא מאוד מעניין, מאוד סקסי בעיניי. ותלוי בהקשר, לאן אתה לוקח את זה. העניין הוא להוציא אותו מהקשר, במקרה שלי. אבל כן, הנה עובדה שאני אומן שחי ויוצר ביפו, והדברים שאני עושה הם קשורים לאו דווקא למקום שאני חי בו, אלא מסתכלים גם על מקומות אחרים. אבל יש לי פה את הבסיס, כן? יש לי פה את הבסיס, יש לי פה את החומרים שמציפים לי את זה, הנה, שקוראים לי, הנה. זה דוגמה קלאסית, הנה, למשהו שאפשר לעשות איתו משהו.
המקום הוזנח עד שנות ה-60 ושימש אתר של פשע בעיקר, אבל גם מועדוני לילה, כלומר זה היה המקום הסדקטיב, הפיתוי הלילי. אבל ככל שאומנים עברו יותר ויותר לתל אביב בשנות ה-20 המאוחרות, בחצי השני של שנות ה-20, ופחות ופחות היה להם כוח באמצעים וזמן, זה לא כביש מהיר, זה לא אוטוסטרדה, לא היו מכוניות, לא היו... זה לא נסעת לגליל, בשביל להגיע לגליל, לצייר את הדרך, והרבו לצייר את זה, מטבריה לצפת, היית צריך 4 ימים. אז יותר נוח לך ללכת שעה ברגל ולצייר את האוריינט ביפו. אז אוריינט היה, יפו הייתה אוריינט של התל אביבים, בשביל התל אביבים.
My father, who was from French origin, arrived here once in 59 to a nightclub and felt he found his home again, which was Montmartre in Paris. And thought he would come and settle here. He was an antique dealer in Tel Aviv. He left the antique shop and bought a bordel here in Jaffa, because everything here in Jaffa at the time was drugs and prostitution, and opened the first gallery in Jaffa in 1960.
Old Jaffa attracted artists in the past when the real estate here was still cheap and the artists could afford themselves to move here. The municipality, it was a decision to invest a lot of money in this area to change it from the poor years that no one wanted to live here.
Jaffa was a prostitute area before, and nobody lives here. It was a big slum, and they take the places and they rebuild it, and they give to the permission to the artists to live here. And that was the atmosphere in Jaffa. By myself, I was working like a graphic designer outside Jaffa. And during the years, I was also making art in my studio, and we get to the ideas of the art because of the atmosphere of Jaffa and the surrounding of the flea market and the port and etc. My dream is to have art in Jaffa, and I don't care about anything else. I came here because I'm an artist. I live here because I'm an artist. Jaffa should be, first of all, art center. And art can be also good to the economy.
I always wanted to be an artist. After the army, I came to Jaffa and I really like it. I found a small studio, and since then I'm here. History is something really important for me. People say that Jaffa should be maybe the oldest city in the world, so it can be really old. This place, for example, my studio used to be a cave. So to work in a place that used to be a cave like 2,000 years ago, you feel something. I mean, you feel the stones here, you feel the history here. So it's really kind of different. I chose to paint in a very positive way. I can say I put a lot of Jaffa in my art. You can see a lot of my paintings have, like, you know, the sea, the sailboat, this kind of old buildings from the Ottoman times. Like, you know, it looks very Mediterranean. The idea of the old city before, it was like an idea of like an art village. Unfortunately, it's not anymore like an art village. It's become really commercial and touristic. I try to keep it like it used to be, like the idea was that artists will open their own studios and people will come and talk with the artists and buy direct from the artists. It doesn't exist anymore. Most of the shops here don't belong anymore to the artists. That's a pity in a way.
Business was really, really bad in Jaffa from 68 to the late 90s, because all the commercial activity moved mostly to Jerusalem and Old Jerusalem. Now the activity in Jaffa is picking up very beautifully. It's only something that is happening in the last 3-4 years. And at least for this, Old Jaffa should be praised, because I think because Old Jaffa exists as it exists, it draws people to come here and open other spaces, either to show or to live and create. Because I don't need to make a living from the gallery, I decided to devote it to contemporary art. And I let young artists and young curators bring in proposals, and whatever I like as art, I let it be exhibited here for periods of 3 to 4 weeks. So we have some 10 exhibitions a year. I don't see that people, artists can find cheap studios and come and open places, and to be in this neighborhood is already very expensive.
I support the young artists. I buy. I buy because I like them. I buy because I see that they really have a talent. They're not a bluff. There is a lot of artists that are making up stories. They copy here, they copy there. Try to be yourself. If you have it, it's gonna come out. Don't stop. Work hard.
I live here for a year and a half now. I came just in the right time when the real estate market just started to develop. It's a bit far from the center of Tel Aviv, but that's what makes it more interesting to me. Each artist found their own inspiration in the world. I'm all surrounded with renovation and with constructions. My environment have an influence on me, and I do deal with environment in my work.
The question about the land, about the place, which was so acoustic when I was young artist in the 80s, when I started to show, it was very critical question. Every artist felt that he have to say something about the place. And now you have to take your kids from the computer. Their homeland is the internet. It's totally different. So this question about the place is much less critical now.
I think that life is multi-layered, and like identity of a human being, the identity of location is multi-layered. You can find different ways, different angles to read the same art, and you will get into different results. And this is a beautiful thing in art. You can take art that was done here, that was created here, and read it in the perspective or the point of view of something that was done in Jaffa. But it doesn't really matter if the art was done in New York or London or Paris. It can reflect adventures and identities of people who came from the place.
I think that mostly the dialogue is a personal dialogue today between artists and themselves, unfortunately. I think that there is not, at least to my knowledge or to my experience here, I haven't seen too much dialogue between the community and art. There was galleries everywhere, but they're mostly aimed for the Israelis who come from Tel Aviv or from all over the country to visit on Saturday and see art. The dialogue, I think, is not only doesn't exist not only between Arabs and Jews, but also sometimes between Jews themselves, because it's different dynamics today, and I think that it's a reflection of the political reality of Israel. People busy with dealing with these icons of conflict and not really dealing with each other. There are smaller groups which are encouraged to do, like schools and artists, who hook up with a bunch of students and they try to do some graffiti and they try to be involved in the community.
Come on, check out this wall. We use the public sphere, we use the public space to say something. It's connected to the people that live in Jaffa. We're talking about coexistence, working together, and the possibility that we find attractive in Jaffa. And actually we don't have another choice, right? We're here and we're here to stay, both of us, Jews and Arabs alike. The group is based in the Jewish Arab Community Center. That would be our next stop.
My name is Nicola Daniel. I've been living all my life in Jaffa. I learned in Tel Aviv in a school called Ironi Aleph. I'm an artist. I'm 15 years old. I joined 2 years ago when it opened. I like that it's lots of people and they give us there's a lot of sponsors, and we've got lots of stuff that you can't buy alone, and that they give us a legal wall. You can draw like freely. In Jaffa there's less people and there's less police and it's less known over here, and it's like easier to do it over here.
I'm Liam Naman. I'm from Tel Aviv. I like using the spray and doing my art in big, and I don't know, it's an experiment for the life. I really want to become an artist and go travel the world.
We all enjoy music and we all use Facebook and we all like to paint. And even though the TV and the media always tells us there's a conflict, we never felt the conflict in the classroom because we're working, we're painting, we're doing street art. So there's more things that unite us than things that separate us. We're trying to take the space, the public space that we live in, our neighborhood in Jaffa, and make it into something more, I would say, fresh and optimistic to the joy of all the people that live in the neighborhood.
At the beginning, it was just the need not to be alone in the studio, because the studio is very, always alone in the studio, all the artists. So I called some two friends to show with me a show, and we decided to make a gallery of our own. We were about five friends at the beginning. It's not something very formal. It's all about connections and friends and friendship.
Bye.